I saw the first America painting in a group show at Barbara Gladstone's gallery, a show called Social Studies, and I was knocked out. I mean, it's an amazing thing to see your first America painting. It's very startling and exciting to see image on top of text, and these things are visually incredible. In fact, I wrote Tim kind of a note in the guest book about how much I liked the work.
Written on the guest book in giant letters, saying, "I love Tim Rollins and K.O.S." Right? And signed J. Philip Gorney. I'd never even met that guy. I go, who's this nut? Who's this character? This is really nice, but who's this person?
And I'd met Tim, and I'd seen this sort of serious, you know, red jumpsuited Tim at Whitney openings when the Americana room was created. And I asked him in a opening at my gallery to be in a show. It was in about December of 1985, and it was a show of the work of Chaim Steinbach, some other artists. And I asked him if he would, and the kids would show some work in February. And I was a little nervous about his response because by then my gallery was establishing kind of a reputation for commercial success, and I wondered if this would go against the kind of Marxist bent of Tim's project.
Quite frankly, we had not had any offers. No one wanted us. No one really wanted to work with us in a serious sort of way. And Jay was so enthusiastic and there's so no problems. So I said, well, we'd be glad to.
My response to this was, you know, where do I sign? I mean, this is the kind of artist I want to get involved with.
So we made America 2, and it was up. And it was up for the entire month. And again, this is really wonderful, and we got a very good review in the Times for that. Everyone was very interested, and this really looks nice, and isn't Tim great, and isn't this a wonderful project? But it wasn't art. You could feel it in the air that this is just too dangerous. One night, and I was working full-time still, and one evening there was parent-teachers night, which in our school tends to be sometimes a really depressing matter because there's 50 parents that you want to see and 2 or 3 show up, and usually it's the 2 or 3 parents who have the best kids in the school, that have a lot of support and really the kids who are really trying. And there was one mom who came into my room and started breaking down and crying. This is one kid who is phenomenally talented artistically, but still at the age of 14 could not read hardly a word. And the mom was just really, thanks Tim, and he's got confidence and he's great. I know he's going to be an artist, but why can't he read? Why can't he read? So I went to the office and was kind of staring, spaced out, completely staring at the ceiling. I just remember this fuchsia sort of peeling paint on the ceiling. And the phone on the desk rang, and Arthur answered it and said, "It's Jay."
He was very upset. There was some trouble in the studio and things weren't going as well as they should have. And I said, well, that's really terrible, but I've got some good news for you. Charles Saatchi bought America 2 and wants to buy others. And Tim was pretty stunned, and he said, what does this mean,
And Jay, of course, is extraordinarily excited because most artists would just scream and, oh my God, this is, great, and start opening champagne.
The possibility of an exhibition was a very exciting one. And of course, he is an influential collector and someone people watch. And it would be of importance just in terms of Tim's work and the way it was viewed in the world by other collectors and by museums and writers as well. So it was a significant sale.
I said, well, that's great. Thanks. And I hung up. And it was so amazing because vis-a-vis what I'd just been through with the mother, I thought, so what? So what? This is great, but so what? And I think at that moment I began to realize that our position or any success that we had would have to be used to eliminate that situation that I just had in that room. And that moment I said, thank God I'm working in a real community, where I realized that the import of moments like this is relative, to say the least. It's funny, I know how to deal with failure, and I know how to deal with adversity, and I know how to deal with frustration, but I had no experience in how to deal with taxes and how to deal with actually money coming in. It was really hard to learn how to deal with any form of success. At that point, the kids and I sat down and said, what are we going to do? We start again. When I expressed it to the kids in this way, they had absolute understanding as to what was going on. So we decided to structure it. How are we going to structure it? You know? You can't just give a kid, especially if they're 16, a $500 check when perhaps the parents are on federal assistance or whatever. It's crazy. Is for the BBC to be here, all right, we are actually getting paid, and we're getting a fee. And the fee is $2,500, $2,500, all right? I want to take 1,000 of that out to cover expenses and workshop, but that gives us $1,500. So I need suggestions right now as to what you think would be the highest priority. What the one thing that we've always wanted to get, we never really got? What?
TV and VCR.
TV. Right. A TV and a VCR?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know.
Any others for the studio?
Yeah.
How about a video camera?
Oh, video camera. Yeah, video camera.
Yeah, video camera.
Yeah. The worry I have is going to be like, it's going to end up being like, you know, La Sala, like the living room, and, you know, everyone will be doing like the Winterreise and watching, you know, Family Ties and stuff. And we get hypnotized.
Tim, you know, comes to us and discuss what we want to do, what we're going to do with the money, what we need for the studio. So we always come out with something we need for the studio. We got to pay rent or something. So that's a good example.
Yeah, and we keep adding to our art library.
Yeah. Buy books, materials, like right now, Tim.
To our art collection too.
Yeah,
we don't get anything donated to us. We don't get our canvases and things and all our materials given to us, you know. The money, practically most of the money that we make goes back into making the pieces even better with better materials and so on.
People are always saying Tim's taking you for granted. He's taking all the money, but you know, they say these things, but they really don't come to the studio to find out. They just say it.
Yeah,
you know, we hear it. They usually say, well, what happens to the money and stuff like that. So we explain to them. It's better if they come up. We rather for them to come up to us to you know, to ask than saying it behind our backs.
We started the corporation so we could start a bank account, and all the money goes into that after the dealers and whatever get their percentages, and after we do the expenses of the studio, which are enormous. And then what we do is we siphon off from that. So now I get a salary, Richie gets a salary, Nelson gets a salary, Carlito, Little Nelson gets a salary, Carlito, and Annette gets a salary, Carlito and some of the other kids get stipends, depending on the regularity of when the kids want to come in. So the kids are really given jobs, well-paying jobs, but they have to learn things like showing up on time, the responsibility. It's real. It's something that's real.